And then I would also like to show you another example of a roadmap here. What we did was we actually used SIPOCs as what I call. It's a very good technique that I find, and I have added one more to that. It's called TOP. So I call it as TOP SIPOC. So I just add like TOP is basically title, objective, and pain points and challenges, because it sets the context. And then the SIPOCs would actually help you with the detailing of that. So if you look up, SIPOC is a very popular tool to specify. Simple thing is SIPOC is supplier, input, process, output, customers. And then I added stakeholders, because a lot of the times you also need to work with multiple stakeholders, internal as well as external. So, and then I added this top thing there, because it gives you kind of a context. What are the objectives? What are the pain points and problems and challenges you would like to address? I'll just take you straight into that so you get an idea. So again, I'm hiding and masking the confidential stuff, which is not required for us to know, because all we are required to understand is the process and how you can present it, right? So don't worry about the too much of detailing in that. Basically, this is for one of the investment banks. Again, going back to about a couple of years ago. Don't want to get too much into the details of the project, as it is a bit confidential, but what this one was, what I did with this customer was to help with the data science team to come up with a self-service based cloud solution platform for all the data science teams around the world. So they should be able to spin up a virtual machine, or get into a SaaS, software as a service mode of a data science toolkit on the cloud. And then they can actually start working on the model. They can create their own model. They can use any of the techniques, like the machine learning techniques, like regression analysis, cluster analysis, or even the timeline series, whatever it could be, coefficient of variation, ANOVA. They should be able to do that all by themselves without depending on the technical team to help them. So everything is self-serviced, as what we call. With that intention, I created this. So that was the intent behind this project. So basically, again, for the markets around, not just in the UK, but UK, Europe, India, China, and Germany. That was the main market. And then, of course, Switzerland and USA. So these were the basis of the teams that were about to use this platform. And then my role was to actually come up with a kind of a roadmap, and then start with the requirements, write up the stories, work with the development team, and then make sure that this vision is realized. So that was the whole context of this particular application. And then what I did initially was to come up with a roadmap. Again, I created what we call as a top. That's my addition. It was not there as a tool. The standard tool is called SIPOC, SIPOC. That is the supplier, input, process, output, and customer. And I added this top to that because I just wanted to bring a kind of a context. So the title for this is whatever that particular application. I don't want to name that, because that could be, that's a confidential thing. But then it's basically to develop the creation and applying that for the several markets. So that's the whole idea of this project or initiative. And what are the objectives? Yesterday we had seen the objectives, right? Within the context of the mission, objectives, strategies, and tactics. That's the hierarchy. So you're actually going from top down. So the primary objective was to automate the data aggregation and analysis. So that's the whole idea. I was talking about the data science, right? There are different teams within this investment bank across the globe who are in different departments, different teams. Some people are in the risk team, some people are in the funds flow team, some people in the marketing, some people in customer analytics, some people in the fund flow analytics, predictive analytics, so on and so forth. There are different teams. Each team has got at least from between 5 and 100 people, depending on the setup of the team. And they're spread all around the world. So we want to actually come up with a solution of a digital platform along with the toolkit each of the teams around the world would be able to actually start using it without getting any training, without getting support from the development team. So we had to actually search for a lot of solutions, and then finally we found the cloud was the best way. So we went and did the POCs with Google Cloud Platform, with Microsoft Azure and Amazon AWS. So I would talk about the detailing later, but as to how we went about, what was the outcome and all that, we'll talk about the journey separately. But the objective for this project was to actually have the it's basically automation of data aggregation. So data collected from across these different teams have to be aggregated and kept into one place. And that was a repository that we want. We wanted to have a data lake kind of a solution. And then you can do all these modeling and building the models and come up with a data science solution on the top of the data. That's a primary objective of what we're going to do with this project. And the secondary one was to create aggregated views. So basically views is, I think some of you might be technically inclined. So views are basically what you have got as data. You've got the basic data as a foundation there in the store. And then views are what you get to see depending on how you would like to see it. So basically if you're a high level, if you just want to see the high level view, you can get to see that. If you want to get into details, you can get to see the detailed view. A third view is basically the pivot charts and everything else that you can play around with. So basically depending on the role, on the goal of yours, you could actually get to see the data in the way that you want it. So that's called easy and quick for merging of data, larger chunks of blocks, blah, blah, blah. And tertiary is to apply this for analyzing the market indices. And so basically there are different objectives for this. And then pain points, again, yesterday, like I've shown you that pain points of the maintenance company, that what were they struggling with. In the same context here also, what are the problems that this company and this bank had with the current solution, current situation. It's all spreadsheet focused and requires cleaning, filtering, addition. They were using a lot of Excel sheets then. I mean, there was no web application or website or digital platform for them to, or the tooling that helps them to do this stuff. So they were using loads and loads of Excel spreadsheets everywhere. They're all flying everywhere. And it's difficult to actually get the data, a complete big picture view of that, just going through hundreds of Excel sheets everywhere. So again, it's important for us to get all this data into one place, into a repository, and give them the unified view. And that's what is, again, the objective. It's time taking to get the data in, clean the data, filter the data, and then analyze the data, right? So there's a problem of if you don't have the good quality data, you've got to cleanse the data, what we call as cleansing of the data. Then you do the filtering, apply the filters on the top. You want to see only the thing that you want to see. You don't want to see all the other stuff. So you apply filters to that. And then you look at you get the data set that is good for you to use and analyze. And then on the top of it would take a long time to analyze because you're using manual tools and you're using Excel-based on-premise solutions, not something that could be done really quickly, not in a scalable way. And obviously because of all these problems, they were actually having a lot of problem with the up-to-date information. It's not there. So they were actually lagging behind. They're not, the current data according to them was about at least 3 months old. Whereas what is the intent is to actually give them near real time, as good as yesterday. So that is not there now, right? So those are the problems, those are the challenges that this bank had been suffering with, and we've identified who are the suppliers. So there's something called as you don't have to worry about it. Basically, we need to identify all the potential suppliers of information or data, and then what are the inputs. So there are different inputs to this. The data comes from yield curves data, from different other applications like Barclays Point. These are the third-party applications. And then there is something called returns data, which is actually stored in some other system. And then third-party data called constituent data. So you see that the data is coming in from different sources. You need to identify that. And then the POCs is basically the POCs, process, output, and customer, and critical success factor. So you actually get to see the process. What am I going to do? How am I going to address this? So you say automated data retrieval, ingest data into, so you know ETL, some of you might have heard about ETL of data, right? Extract, transform, and load. So extraction is get the data from wherever it is there, extract into one place, transform, do some kind of jugglery of that data, shuffle, reshuffle, cleanse, filter, and do all kinds of things. And then you load the data finally into the particular place. So that's called ETL of the data. So that's what I have proposed to do this with this one. Clean and filter the data, post clean data to analysis, and then create and use models. This is the regression model, the statistical model, the AI, and generate reports and data for specific clients. So that's what is the ultimate objective. And then the output is basically, again, intermediate views, and then penultimate view, create master views, blah, 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 all these kinds. So depending on your subject, so you can actually try and look at this. And critical success factor, the C for this one is basically access historic data going back last 6 months, which is not there at the moment. One of the challenges was that the data you're actually getting to see only once, and that too only about 3 months old. It's not the current data, and that's it. You can't go further back. So again, we want to provide a view of the historic data, and then spreadsheet format to go back all the way from 1988. They won't actually have the historic data going back to the year 1988 and things like that. And monthly, weekly, able to aggregate data to see the needs. Here we're talking about what is the definition of done, right? So we talked about it in the last week in the Agile course about the definition of done and definition of ready. So this project can be said to be a success when it is able to deliver this set of benefits and value propositions to the teams around the world. So that's the critical success factors. And the customers are here. I just mentioned some of the customers who are going to consume this product, use the product, and then stakeholders are project managers and some of the clients and CIO officers. So they hold a stake to this. So again, we don't have to understand this particular context, but again, this is a very good roadmap for you to understand what we wanted to do. Again, there's not much detailing of how we're going to do this, but this is actually laying a road to where you want to go, how you can go there. That's the whole idea of a